Hey everyone! This week's First Chapter Friday is Night Games by RL Stine. So, if you have seen the Fear Street movie on Netflix, this is going to be from that series, but you should know that while that movie is loosely based on Fear Street, each of these novels is really like a standalone event that happens to happen to these general characters who live on Fear Street. So, it's not going to be the story of the movie itself. Also, bear in mind that these novels were written quite a while ago. So this one in particular was written in 1996, which meant that cell phones were not readily available. Most people, the average person, did not have a cell phone in 96. So bear that in mind while you're reading this, because a lot of times when people read these books, they're like, man, why don't these people just call for help? Well, they can't because there was no cell phones. So bear that in mind. It actually kind of makes it scarier. So here's what this book is about. Diane and her friends have always loved sneaking out in the middle of the night to play harmless pranks on Fear Street while the rest of the town sleeps. Spencer, the ringleader of the group, has shown them how to have real fun. It's exciting to have the town to themselves, to break all of the rules, to live without consequences. But when Lenny, Diane's boyfriend, wants to get back at one of the most hated teachers at their school, the group goes too far. And on Fear Street, even death can't stop people from getting their revenge. Chapter 1. Whoa! I stopped and grabbed Lenny Boyle's arm. Check it out! I had to shield my eyes against the harsh, bright lights. Lenny laughed and pretended to stagger off the sidewalk. Cassie Wylot and Jordan Towns were half a block back, arguing again. They had been fighting all night, even while they were dancing. Sometimes I wonder why Cassie and Jordan are dating. They're always breaking up and then making up and then breaking up again. Hello, I called, trying to get their attention. Take a break, guys. You've got to see this. They stopped and gawked at the amazing sight. And even Cassie had to laugh. It's hard to get Cassie to laugh. She's a great friend, but she really doesn't have much of a sense of humor. In fact, she's the most serious person in our crowd. Always study, study, study. It was great seeing her lighten up and dance at red heat tonight. Her copper-colored hair was flying and her hazel eyes reflected the flashing lights. If only she and Jordan didn't fight all the time. He's so good looking and he knows it. And he is always coming on to the other girls. I think that's what starts most of their fights, but I don't really know for sure. Cassie and I are good friends, but Cassie sort of keeps herself tightly wrapped up. She doesn't reveal what she's thinking, not even to me. But now, walking home from the dance club, we were all thinking the same things. How could Mr. Crowell do this to his front yard? All four of us stopped and stared at the brightest, ugliest, craziest, tackiest display of Christmas lights we had ever seen. Red and green lights blazed from the roof, around the windows and doors, and along the gutters, and in all the trees. Mr. Crowell had two Santas facing each other in identical glowing sleighs. Reindeer with flashing red noses, elves, gremlins, Santa's helpers, bright purple mice, bright white snowmen, neon animals I didn't even recognize, and twinkling, flashing, glowing lights everywhere. It's brighter than the dance club, Jordan declared, shaking his head. His dark eyes twinkled too, reflecting the red glare of the lights. He'll need a calculator to add up his electric bill, I chimed in. Everyone laughed. You see, Mr. Crowell is our math teacher, and he doesn't allow us to bring calculators to class. Lenny scowled. We should smash them, he said. Mr. Crowell is not Lenny's favorite teacher. In fact, Mr. Crowell isn't anyone's favorite teacher. Every school has at least one teacher that everyone hates, and at Shadyside High, Mr. Crowell wins that prize. I'm so easygoing and sensible, I get along well with all my teachers. All except for Mr. Crowell. Diane Brown, please complete this equation to the fifth decimal. I can hear his shrill, high voice. It always gives me chills, like chalk scraping on a chalkboard. I snuggled against Lenny. We were both glowing from the lights in the front yard. The tiny stud in Lenny's ear sparkled like a star, and I kissed his cheek. Poor Lenny. Mr. Crowell was toughest on him. All the teachers were tough on Lenny. I guess because Lenny doesn't care much about school, because he doesn't like to play the game, because he's kind of tough looking. Why do I like to go out with a guy like Lenny? A quiet, sensible girl like me? Well, because I know him well enough to get past his surface cool. Because I know he's really a good guy underneath. He acts tough, but he's really a marshmallow. Actually, I'm surprised that Lenny wants to go out with me. I'm not as pretty as a lot of girls. I mean, I'm not as pretty as Cassie, for example. My blonde hair is scraggly, and my nose is crooked, and I can't afford really nice clothes. But Lenny and I have a good time together when he's not in one of his angry moods. Those times when he gets low, there just isn't much I can do about it. I just wait, and he'll eventually come out of it. I can't believe a total grump like Crowell has so much Christmas spirit, Cassie exclaimed. Did you ever see anything so ugly? Jordan demanded, grinning. I love it. I want to do this in my front yard. I would keep it going all year round. I laughed, and Cassie shook her head disapprovingly. You have no taste, she said softly. I know, Jordan shot back. That's why I go out with you. Cassie shoved him into a hedge. No, I'm serious, Jordan grinned. Mr. Crowell should win an award for this. He should be arrested, Lenny muttered bitterly. Jordan laughed. Excuse me, arrested? For what? Lenny shrugged. I don't know. Littering, maybe? We laugh. I'm serious, Lenny insisted. I really think we should get my dad's Jeep, come back here, and drive it back and forth over all those stupid lights and Santas and reindeer. You know, crunch them into bits. Whoa, I murmured. I took Lenny's arm. Take it easy, I whispered. We all hate the guy, but not as much as me, Lenny cried. Hey, we all have Crowell stories, Cassie added. Remember the time I lost my math notebook and he dropped my grade an entire letter? And then I found the notebook at the bottom of my locker. I brought it in to show it to him, and he still wouldn't change my grade. Cassie tossed back her coppery hair. Remember that? And I am his best student. Remember when I got caught passing that note to you? I asked Lenny. It was all sort of mushy love note, and Mr. Crowell grabbed it and called me up in front of everyone and then made me read it aloud. Just thinking about it made my face go hot. That was the most embarrassing day of my life, I declared. I wanted to murder Mr. Crowell. Me too, Lenny muttered. Jordan tugged Cassie toward the street. Let's get out of here. I'm getting a sunburn from all these lights. Lenny and I followed them across the street and then down the block. It took a while for my eyes to adjust to the darkness again. None of the other houses were decorated. A strong, cold breeze fluttered my hair, and I pulled my jacket tighter and snuggled against Lenny as we walked. What time is it? I yawned. Not too late. A little after midnight, he replied. Up ahead of us, Cassie and Jordan were arguing again. I'm really tired, I sighed. I worked all afternoon at the mall, and then it was so hot in the dance club, but it was fun, Lenny said, kicking a soda can across the street. It felt good to let go and just dance, you know? I nodded. Yeah, it did, I snickered. Jordan thinks he's such a great dancer, I whispered, but he works too hard at it, don't you think? He tries to be so cool, but I stopped with a sharp gasp. I saw something, a shadow, something moving on the side of the house. Lenny, look! I grabbed his arm, and he saw it too. A dark figure climbing out of an upstairs window. He probably robbed the place, I sputtered. All four of us stared at the figure as he jumped to the ground. Quick, let's get out of here, Cassie whispered. Too late. The burglar climbed quickly to his feet, spun around, and saw us. And that is chapter 1 of Night Games. So it's a real fast-paced, quick read. All the chapters are just a few pages short, and they always tend to end with a cliffhanger. So it's a really great book if you are looking for some motivation to pick up a chapter book and then finish it all the way through to the end. So come by the library and check it out if you're interested. I also have many more Fear Street books if you want the same concept, but not this exact book.